Welcome, the folks of YouTube. Welcome back to my newest Let's Explain Victoria 2, A House Divided. Last time we were talking about the new things in A House Divided, as you can probably guess. This time we're playing as a quite different place, a quite large place, UK specifically, because we're going to talk about province overviews. Now this is going to be a kind of short and kind of long episode in its own way, just depending on how well I can explain these things. So let's put up London. The province views kind of explain itself. London is having a problem with mafia or organized crime that's making its factories put out less. Its main resource produced is grain, where you can see the max output is 37.36, which is based on how many aristocrats or farm owners you got, as well as workers for it. Resources themselves will be either later on this episode or a different episode, depending on how this one drags along. As you can see, this is not well drawn out. Just from overview, you can see how much exactly you produced and how much you sold. Here's how many people are actually employed in the RTO, which essentially means that how many people are working to produce you some grain. Generally, you want this to be about where it is, about half. Though for some provinces, you want more factory workers. London will actually be a good one to have more factory workers in, actually. And some places you want military districts, other places you want almost all farmers. And this is the exact number plus exact percentage. Crime fighting rate is how quickly events like these go away. There's events like mafia, anarchic bomb throwers, and things like that, which will lower your factory production, increase the party in the area, or some other crime. Crime fighting rate is is a combination of how much you're spending on administration and how effective that administration actually is. So, if we went in, turned administration way up, played for a few days, 3, 4, I'll be back in a month actually. As you can see, our crime fighting rate jumped up sharply and we are no longer having mafia problems. That's because, as you know, I upped my administration spending, and as you can probably guess, upping your administration spending as well as getting more bureaucrats will sharply increase your administration efficiency, and more spending on administration gives you more bureaucrats. So in essence, if you got one going up, you got the other going up. Here's your average militancy. As you can see, it's 0. Militancy will be changed later on, determined by how angry or happy your people are at you. But that's something to talk about when the time comes. Actually, I believe I've already talked about militancy, so if you need to, go back to that episode. It's one of the United States and Central American ones. Here's the population, an exact count of... Your population isn't actually how many people are there, just adult males. There are going to be more realistically, but for all the people who can be employed in your province, here they are. Here's the province migration. As you can see, since it's February 1st, we won't really have much of a population change, but if people immigrate out or immigrate in, you'll get more population from that. Though, as you could probably guess, unless they're from your empire, they're going to be foreigners. Province growth is, as you could probably guess, how many people are actually coming in. Well, not coming in, but being born in your nation. These will generally be the culture of your province, and in a nearly exclusive place like Britain, that's a very good thing. Your workforce slider just shows you how many people are what in your province. As you can see, we got, you know, a pie chart of different people, mostly artisans, farmers, and craftsmen at this point, but it'll change later on. Ideology. This is what your people's political ideology is, and this is a good indication of where you actually need to set up your national focuses for determining party loyalty. As you can see, we get a heavy conservative bias with a little bit of liberal and reactionary thrown in. Finally, your culture. which is we got 96% British and 3% Irish. Generally, you want to have as many people of your own culture as you can. The higher the percentage of pink is here, the better. On the other hand, in, say, North Germany, the higher percentage of brown there, the better. Got a minor amount of Polish in Berlin. Next, you got supply limit. Supply limit is something that vastly changes as time goes on. It starts out, you got 30 here. As you can see, we got a base of 6, and we're the owner, so that's times 5. And, we went to Sweden here, who I have allied in the time being. We have times 4 for being allied. Belgium is also allied. Well, actually, it's not technically allied. Well, it is, but it's in my sphere of influence as well. That also gives a slight bonus, even though it doesn't outright show it to you. We got France, who has a supply limit of 6. And well, we don't have any costless police. I'll be right back. We are now Prussia, and we are at war with Denmark. As you can see, an enemy province only gives you the base amount. For some places, it even lowers that a little bit. So, generally speaking, if you're going to be at war with, say, a desert nation like Nejd, Egypt, or Hedges, make sure to actually bring light amounts of troops, because supply is going to eat you. It's happened. And now it's time to talk about buildings in your provinces. As you can see, we got a level 1 fort, a level 0 naval base, and a building level 0 railroad in London here. Forts will increase the fort level as it claims. What that essentially means is, for one thing, you'll get a defensive bonus if the enemy attacks you there, and it'll also increase the dig-in bonus, if I'm not mistaken. It'll also increase the time it takes for an enemy to capture your sector, which means that a level 5 fort in a province will make it essentially impossible to capture with a good armed force. It will take, in fact, I would say that it would take effort to actually lose a province with that many fort levels. Naval base? All naval bases will do is increase the colonial range and decrease the local shipbuilding time. Obviously, naval bases are going to be exclusive to port cities, but here's a tip. Try to not make too many naval bases. They are expensive like nothing else, and as you can see, well, as you could see from the AI if we were actually playing, they tend to spam them, and that tends to destroy their economy, which is why it actually is a little bit easy right now for places with a bad economy starting out like Greece or Chile, other South American states like that, because places will just bankrupt themselves spamming naval bases everywhere, and you'll get loans. So what I'm trying to say here is, build naval bases only in places where they would be very useful to you. Ironically, where the Royal Navy is docked here in Southampton,